What if I told you Trey Songz might be the most protected R&B predator of our generation? Not once, but twice, Trey's name has surfaced in connection to tragic murder-suicides. Not just messy breakups or cheating rumors, we're talking lives lost, accusations of obsession, and explosive violence allegedly tied back to one man. And yet, he's still touring, still streaming, still praised. Fans know him as Mr. Steal Your Girl, but behind the flirty smirk and slow jams, there's a disturbing pattern of coercion, lawsuits, violent outbursts, and whispered payoffs that's been building for years. This isn't just one bad night or one disgruntled ex. This is case after case, accusation after accusation. So the real question isn't, did he do it? It's, how has he gotten away with this for so long? And more importantly, why is no one talking about it? Let's talk about the dark truth behind Trey Songz' legacy and why the music industry may have been helping him cover it up all along. Before the headlines, the lawsuits, and the disturbing accusations, Trey Songz was the golden boy of modern R&B. Born Tremaine Neverson in Virginia, he was the soft-spoken military kid raised by a single mom and strict grandmother who taught him to always respect women. He wasn't some hood heartbreaker or industry plant. He was clean-cut, polite, and could actually sing. He told every interviewer the same thing. "My mom raised me to be the man she always wanted." That line alone made women swoon, and for a while he backed it up. No fake persona, just a hungry kid with killer vocals, abs sculpted by God himself, and that sultry whisper that made half of BET's female audience pass out during his performances. His debut album, I Gotta Make It, dropped in 2005 with a co-sign from Aretha Franklin herself. She even recorded the intro, and when the Queen of Soul calls you a prodigy, people listen. Atlantic Records hyped him up as the next big thing, saying he was the most promising R&B act they'd signed in over 60 years. And honestly, he delivered, at first. Tracks like Neighbors Know My Name, Say Ah, and Can't Help But Wait turned Trey into the smooth, seductive poster child for early 2000s R&B. He wasn't just a singer, he was an image, shirtless, charming, and dangerously romantic. But here's the thing, that image, it was just that, an image. Behind the scenes, the respectful gentleman narrative started to crack early. Fans didn't want to believe it, but the red flags were there from the jump. And once the bedroom rumors, the controlling behavior, and the explosive temper started to bubble to the surface, Mr. Steal Your Girl slowly started to look like Mr. Steal Your Peace. It started as whispers, then anonymous tips, then full-blown exposés. But every time someone tried to pull back the curtain on Trey Songz' private life, the industry hit snooze, because nobody wanted to believe that R&B's Prince Charming had a secret side. In 2010, Gossip dropped a bomb, claims that Trey wasn't just involved with women, but had been romantically linked to men since as far back as 2004. One source even alleged he was in a 7-month relationship with a male industry exec named Brandon Hines. The source described Trey as versatile, saying he could switch roles depending on his partner. The internet went wild, but instead of denying it outright, Trey stayed quiet, letting his fans defend him while the media danced around the truth. Was it real? Was it revenge? Well, the plot thickened when someone tried to claim the whole rumor was planted by his ex-manager, Delonte Butter Murphy, after a falling out. But Gossip fired back, saying, "Nope, sorry to disappoint you, Delonte wasn't the source. They stood by their reporting and the story didn't disappear." What's wild is this, even if the story was fake, why did so many people in the industry seem to believe it? Or at least not be surprised? See, behind closed doors, Trey had a reputation. Not just for being freaky, but for being controlling, aggressive, and manipulative with partners of all genders. And when fans started connecting the dots between the rumors and his real-life behavior, the so-called bedroom king started looking less like a lover and more like a liability. But this was just the beginning. Because as shocking as the rumors were, what happened next made them look like child's play. Now here's where things go from messy to mortifying. In 2012, a woman named Cassandra Perkins attended a Trey Songz concert in Kansas City. Sounds harmless, right? Just a fun night out. But what happened after that concert would leave 2 people dead, and Trey's name right in the center of a tragedy. Cassandra had recently given birth to a child with her boyfriend, NFL linebacker Jovan Belcher. But according to reports, after she got home from the concert, things spiraled out of control. Belcher accused her of cheating with none other than Trey Songz. The argument escalated, and by morning, Jovan had fired 9 shots at Cassandra, kissed her body and their baby goodbye, and drove to the Chiefs' facility where he took his own life in front of his coach and GM. Trey denied any involvement. He tweeted prayers and condolences and insisted, "This has nothing to do with me." But the internet had already connected the dots. Why was his name even being mentioned in a murder-suicide? That should have been the only time Trey's name appeared in a tragedy like that, but it wasn't. Fast forward to December 2014. While FaceTiming with Floyd Mayweather, aspiring rapper Earl Hayes confronted his wife, dancer Stephanie Mosley, about cheating. One of the names he kept bringing up? You guessed it, Trey Songz. Hayes and Mosley had apparently moved past the infidelity, but not really. According to sources, Trey was the one name Earl couldn't let go of. That day, after another heated argument, Earl Hayes took Stephanie's life and then his own. Floyd witnessed the entire thing over FaceTime. And again, Trey wasn't charged. He wasn't even questioned publicly. But fans started to wonder, why does his name keep popping up around these violent, possessive, love-gone-wrong stories? Is it coincidence? Or something darker? At this point, Trey was no longer just the bad boy of R&B. He was becoming a walking cautionary tale, with women, with friends, with anyone who got too close. And the more women started to speak out, the uglier it got. Let's talk about the allegations, lawsuits, and hush money deals that followed. After a while, the scandal started stacking up faster than the Billboard hits. First, there was Savannah Waldrop, a woman who claimed she had an on-again, off-again relationship with Trey for years. When she got pregnant, she says he didn't just panic, he accused her of trying to ruin his life. According to her, he paid her to terminate the pregnancy and allegedly gave her $25,000 in cash over 5 months to stay quiet. But it didn't stop there. Savannah claims that during one meeting, he asked to see her phone. When she refused, he allegedly locked her in his car, smashed her phone, threw her ID and credit cards out the window, and screamed that no one was ever going to see her again. She said he punched her in the ribs and held her hostage for 2 hours. Let that sink in. And that's just one woman's story. There were nightclub assaults, like the one where he threw money at a dancer and a crisp bill sliced her eye. He was charged with misdemeanor assault, though of course the charges were dropped. Then there was the December 2016 Detroit concert meltdown. Trey's set was cut short, and in a rage, he started destroying equipment, hurling objects, and even injured a police officer. In his now infamous mugshot, Trey proudly held up his middle finger like the whole thing was a joke. He later pled guilty and got 18 months of probation. Keke Palmer's allegations might have been the most public. She said Trey tricked her into appearing in a music video, cornered her at a party, and used sexual intimidation to manipulate her into participating. She even tried to hide in a closet to avoid being filmed. Trey's response? Baby girl buggin'. Period. And that seems to be the recurring theme. No matter how serious the claims, Trey always had a tweet or a shrug, while women were left traumatized, silenced, or settling out of court. He was still doing festivals, still getting collabs, still pulling up to parties like nothing ever happened. But the truth, the more famous he got, the more reckless he became. And with each new woman who stepped forward, one thing became painfully clear. This wasn't a one-time scandal. It was a system, a pattern, a playbook. And the industry? Still silent. Here's the part that really makes you side-eye the whole music business. Why didn't anyone say anything? Why did artists keep collaborating with Trey? Why did labels keep investing? Why was he still headlining shows while women were filing lawsuits in real time? Let's be real. Trey Songz was profitable. He was the perfect blend of marketable R&B sex symbol and streetwise edge. Labels loved that. Fans still screamed for him. His brand wasn't squeaky clean, but it was just messy enough to seem exciting, not dangerous. And as long as he kept delivering hits, nobody in the industry wanted to rock the boat. Even after Keke Palmer spoke out, and after multiple women accused him of assault, his career barely flinched. Why? Because no one powerful wanted to go against him. Not Nicki Minaj, not 2 Chainz, not even BET. Instead of distancing themselves, artists kept featuring him. Radio kept playing him. Events kept booking him. Even when his name came up in 2 separate murder-suicides, the industry treated it like background noise. No interviews, no pressure, just business as usual. And then there's the he said, she said excuse, the go-to defense that let everyone pretend this wasn't real. Trey's team was known for hush money, NDAs, quiet settlements, and dragging things out in court until the stories faded from the headlines. The result? He was never held publicly accountable, and that made him bulletproof. And don't forget, fame is a shield. As long as someone's trending, getting streams, and selling tickets, people will go out of their way to not believe the worst about them. Because believing the worst means giving up the music, the fantasy, the persona they fell in love with. So instead of holding Trey accountable, the industry gave him a pass, repeatedly, until it became painfully obvious. He wasn't just slipping through the cracks were built for him. But even that privilege has limits, because eventually, even the cover-ups couldn't hide what was coming next. If you thought the chaos had peaked, oh no. Trey Songz' scandals didn't slow down, they evolved, and they got worse, way worse. In 2021, during his 37th birthday bash in Las Vegas, things took a disturbing turn. Basketball player and aspiring artist Dylan Gonzalez accused Trey of taking advantage of her in a hotel suite. Her statement was gut-wrenching. She said the trauma haunted her daily. But again, nothing stuck. The case fizzled out due to what authorities called lack of evidence. But it didn't end there. In early 2022, a woman named Wahada Jeffries filed a $10 million lawsuit claiming Trey assaulted her at a party. The exact same day, another woman filed a separate $20 million lawsuit, also claiming sexual misconduct, this time at one of his infamous house parties back in 2016. That case eventually got dismissed, but not before it put Trey's name back in headlines yet again. Then came the bowling alley incident. According to police reports, 2 people filed complaints saying Trey repeatedly socked them in the face, like over a bowling game. He voluntarily turned himself in, of course, with that same smug confidence, like it was just another Tuesday. And then, in true social media chaos fashion, Selena Powell, a notorious hip-hop groupie, went on a podcast and lit the match. She alleged that Trey coerced her, made her do explicit things, and then threw her phone off a balcony. Her friend Eliza added to the nightmare, claiming Trey relieved himself on her during a private encounter without her consent. Wait, did we just say urinated on her? Yes, and it gets even messier. Because Corinne Steffens, Superhead herself, backed up the story, claiming Trey tried to do the exact same thing to her during her birthday celebration. If multiple women are telling the same exact story, at what point do we stop calling them attention seekers and start asking real questions? At this point, the allegations aren't just piling up. They're telling the same story over and over again. Power, coercion, aggression, and a man who does not care about consequences. And yet, he's still free, still on Instagram, still playing the R&B sex symbol like he's untouchable. But the court of public opinion? Oh, it's turning. Slowly, but definitely turning. Because now the question is no longer, did he do it? It's, why hasn't anyone stopped him yet? And that brings us to the end game. Is Trey Songz finally running out of time, or is he just too protected to fall? Let's wrap this up. Once upon a time, Trey Songz was supposed to be the future of R&B, the heir to Usher's throne, the voice of a generation of love songs, the sexy, sultry, harmless heartthrob. And in some ways, he lived that dream. He sold millions of records. He had number ones. He had women screaming his name and a cosign from Aretha freaking Franklin. But now, his name is synonymous with lawsuits, violence, and accusations. His legacy is no longer about hit records or bedroom ballads. It's about whispered horror stories and civil complaints. He dodged cancellation for years. Maybe because the industry protected him. Maybe because fans didn't want to believe the truth. But at some point, the whispers became too loud. And when multiple women across years start telling the same kind of story, it's no longer a coincidence. It's a pattern. Trey Songz is still a free man. He's still making music, still posting on social media, still living his life. But his reputation, it's bleeding out, slowly, publicly. And it may never recover. As of 2024, his estimated net worth is around $12 million. But money can't fix this kind of legacy. Because when people talk about Trey Songz now, it's not about music, it's not about love, it's about everything he allegedly did and everything the industry allegedly let him get away with. So here's the real question. Is Trey Songz another misunderstood celebrity or the R&B predator that fame kept hidden for way too long? Let us know what you think in the comments, because this story, it's far from over.